All right, welcome back to Coffee with Pastor. I'm Jason Shumate. I get to host this thing, which is awesome. And of course, we have
Pastor Jim Schreiner. So good to be back with you guys today.
Yes, we're very excited. I love doing this. We've had we're on episode 14.
I saw that the other day. I watched last week's.
Yeah.
And I watched the one with the kids too. I watched both of them, and it just shocked me that was episode 13.
Yeah.
We're on 14 already, and we're so thankful for the response. Yeah. Everybody that has commented, that has shared it, that is subscribed to it, keep doing that. Share it for us. This is one of the ways that we can reach out just a different avenue of getting the gospel out. Yeah. And I know we talk about other things, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. We are going to be starting something new. It is coming. We're going to start an email address.
That's right.
That you're going to be able to email Coffee with Pastor. That's in the works. We've already seen actually one subscriber sent us it's a motor. If you can, I'm showing the viewers, but you can tell them about it too.
Yeah. So what this is actually to stir your coffee. Wayne sent this to me. And I sent one to me and one to Jason.
Yep.
And so you put it in your coffee, and then you wind it up.
You might have to hold your. It's so cool.
Oh yeah, I guess I need to. So you sit it in the cup, and you wind it, and then it stirs the coffee for you.
It's a listener's.
I don't know what I'm going to do with it now, but
so listeners, it looks like it's basically a miniature. It fits in the palm of your hand, an outboard boat motor, like a Mercury outboard motor. And again, it sits on the rim of your coffee cup. You wind it up, and the prop stirs your coffee.
Yeah. It's called a Mini 450.
Yeah.
So just in case you want to look for that.
It's a two-stroke.
The funny thing is after Wayne sent that to me, I think it was like 2 days later, Jason Evanzini sent me a video of that very thing, and I was like, I already have one.
It's neat.
It is one of the things that I started doing it years ago. I just collect coffee paraphernalia, and we talked about it when the kids were here. I collect coffee grinders, and there's nothing specific. The only specific grinder I ever looked for was the one that was on the wall in my mom's kitchen growing up, and looked for it for years. And now I actually have two of them.
Yeah,
people have bought them for me. And if you get them with all the original glass, they are actually worth quite a bit of money. I've got one that is from Holland, actually two that is from Holland, and we found it at the Habitat for Humanity Restore.
Oh, okay.
And so my wife bought it for me. I think it was $5 is what we paid for
awesome.
it. And it was only missing the glass that catches the coffee grinds.
At the bottom, yeah.
At the bottom. And so it's a square glass. So I mean, it's not, you can't put anything in there. It looks like a little glass box with a rim on the top that it slides in. And so I went online, I found the coffee grinder brand from Holland, and ordered it through eBay. Now the grinder itself was $5. That little glass was $50.
Oh wow!
But together, it's worth quite a bit more than that.
Yeah.
And so it's just a hobby that I have, and so I have coffee paraphernalia everywhere.
That's really cool. It reminds me, I think we've talked about this in previous episodes. We went out to Cane Ridge several weeks ago, and we got to go to the museum that's there.
Yes.
And they had all kinds of stuff of like what they used in that time for harvesting, farm harvest.
All the farm implements.
All that stuff, kitchen stuff. And then, you talked about the coffee grinder on the wall. They had the phone on the wall.
Yes.
That had the thing you had to take off the hook, and you had to pull the little phone or the microphone down and crank it. I don't know.
They had a crank on the side that would actually call the operator.
Yeah.
And then you would have to tell the operator who you were going to call. And no, believe it or not, I did not use one of those as a child. But I had one. As a matter of fact, I had a very nice antique one that my brother-in-law and I were taking all the insides out and putting a real phone in it.
Okay.
And so we were never able to finish. I couldn't even tell you where that phone is now, but had it hanging on the wall for years. That old-fashioned phone, and we were making it a real phone. Now with cell phones, it's obsolete anyway.
Yeah, I don't even know any. Yeah, I don't know anyone that even has a landline anymore. Do you know anyone that has a landline anymore?
No, I don't think I do.
I mean, even my father has a cell phone, which like really shocked me. And he didn't have. I mean, I remember all through high school, they had landlines.
Yeah. I'm trying to think I don't think even my dad does. My dad will be 96 in January.
Mm-hmm.
And he may have one. He's in assisted living, still lives by himself, still doing great, 96 years old. And he may have one they call it a garden flat where he lives. It's like a 1-bedroom house. He may have one there, but other than that, I don't know of anybody that does.
Yeah. It's kind of like a condo.
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
It is. It's a condo. It's like a single floor townhouse.
Yeah.
Is what it's like. And it's great. At 96, he's still on his own and doing great.
He amazes me.
Yeah.
So what this coffee's really good, by the way. Well, I guess it's not. Is it not? It's espresso this morning.
This is probably ristretto is what you'd call it. Espresso is just a real small amount.
Yeah.
And then the next size up. But I make this in my Nespresso machine.
Yes.
And it's a coffee machine brand. And I had some friends in here about a month or so ago, and they said, "What's the difference between that and a Keurig? What you're making?" And I kicked them out of my office.
And we've used it before. You made the Cafe Bonbon.
Yes.
And that was what you used in it. Yeah.
And that wasn't a shot of espresso.
Yeah.
And so the difference with a Nespresso, and there's other brands that do it, this is just what I have, is it doesn't just run water through the pod like a Keurig does.
Yeah.
It's actually under pressure, and it's heated to almost steam. So it comes out extremely hot. It pulls more flavor out of the beans. It's a good. I have one here, and I have one at home too.
Yeah.
And the truth is, we made a French press pot of coffee, and it just looked terrible. We're not even going to tell you what brand it was, where we got it from, but it just wasn't.
I have to say,
looks like tea.
When he brewed it, I was like, I think you might have used potpourri chips.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. You're making potpourri coffee. Oh, this is wonderful. But anyway, and then as I was making the Nespresso, a very proud moment with Jason. He said, "God is too good to drink bad coffee."
Yeah.
And it's true. He is too good to drink bad coffee.
That's right. Well, so we just had Thanksgiving, and that was awesome. I can't believe, well, I guess I can believe it's December. I know, it's here.
I don't know about anybody else, but this year, Thanksgiving being so late in the month, threw my whole calendar off.
Yeah. I kept thinking, have we had it already?
Yeah, I did. Almost every year, Thanksgiving falls on either my wife or my oldest daughter, Christian's birthday.
Yeah.
Or right around that time, and we celebrate it, and it's just weird this year.
Yeah.
I know it's happened before. It has to have had, but I don't ever remember this.
Yeah. It was almost, was it 28th? It's almost the last day of the month.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. Anyway. It didn't stop us from eating.
No. No, it didn't. So the sanctuary looks amazing. That's one of the things, it gets better and better every year. We've decorated for Christmas, and I got to ask, the tree toppers, they look so cool. So if you go in and they have little GF logos on every tree topper. Where did those come
Actually, Denise and Debbie made those. Debbie Price and her sister Denise made those, and they just wanted to help. They wanted to do something. And, yeah, they really are pretty cool.
That's cool.
I got to admit, that's one of the things that's really been fun. Just everybody that wants to be involved in whatever we do. Mm-hmm. It's really been an awesome thing. And I guess the phrase that's used in the church world is how we've developed community here.
Yeah.
And, when they found out we were decorating, well, I'd like to do this and I'd like to do that. It's not like we say, hey, come do whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah.
My wife Elizabeth really organizes it and lays out, she's got
There's a vision
for it every year. We've had it where we had material hanging from the center of the ceiling out to the walls, and she said, "Do you want to do that this year?" And I said, "No." So that was a pretty easy answer.
Yeah.
But it's always been, she loves doing it.
Yeah.
She really loves doing it. The only problem is we're both like, nah, we don't want to decorate at home now.
Oh.
We did all our decorating at the church.
I've gotten better. I like to decorate at Christmas time at the house. I've gotten into that. But I've realized I can't make a bow to save.
I can't either.
I was doing one. I was trying to do one. I did this garland thing above our front door with some stuff, and I had this material. I was like, I'm going to do a bow. And Christian saw
sorry.
it. Yeah. She's like, did it get stuck in the door? Did someone walk in and close the door or pull? I was like, no.
Did you mean for it to look like this?
She's like, you double knot your shoes, don't you? I was like, yes, I do. That's right. Just to be safe.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but yes, the sanctuary looks wonderful. I love all the decorations. It looks awesome. And you talked about everyone coming together. We recently did I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it's the gift we did with William Bumpus Ministry.
The Gift of Christmas. No, that's our
program.
That's
it
our
might be the
Christmas
same
program.
name though.
Christmas Blessing.
Christmas Blessing.
That's what it is. I look forward to that every year. I'm so grateful to be able to be partnered with Brother Bumpus.
Yeah.
We support him monthly, and then periodically we'll have a need arise here at the church. And I don't know any other way to live but by seed time and harvest.
Yeah.
And I'm very careful. Now, when you look at the parable of the soils, now most people call it the parable of the sower, but it's really the soils that are different. And there's 6 different soils. Not 4, but there's 6 different. And 3 of those didn't produce lasting fruit. And then even the 4th, 5th, and 6th, there was some 30, some 60, and some 100-fold. So even within the good soil, there were different levels of where to put your seed. And so whenever I'm sowing seed, now there's certain things the Word is very clear about. Galatians 6 says, let him who's taught in the Word communicate or share with the one who's teaching you. I believe that's the greatest place to put our seed, is the one that's teaching us the Word. But we've had needs arise, and I'll go to God, okay, where do you want me to sow, and what do you want me to sow?
Yeah.
And I've had, 4 or 5 times that we've had need arise, and God will say, I want you to sow into William Bumpus's ministry, Jesus Inside Prison Ministry, which I highly recommend you partnering with. The work he's doing, he calls it the Jesus House for men that get out of prison. It's very strict. I mean, his rules are very strict. He has no government support, so no government oversight either.
Yeah.
And his success rate is 90% of the guys that come through his program never see jail or prison again.
That's huge.
It's unmatched.
Yeah.
And so every year we help with, his wife Juanita does an outreach where they do Christmas for families of people that are incarcerated. And so we have a woman in our body that shared her testimony. Now, it wasn't Brother Bumpus that did this, but it was another church ministry.
Yeah.
That when she was in prison, they brought Christmas presents to her daughter.
Oh.
And it's not like, hey, we the church are doing this for you. This is a Christmas present from your mom.
Yeah.
And it made such an impact on that girl, her daughter, who's now in her 20s, still has that Christmas gift.
Oh, wow.
And so we always partner. We open it up to our congregation. And, I love it because every year we send him more.
Yeah.
And this year was no exception. I mean, we did more than we did last year.
Yeah.
To help them. And so I always have him come preach the last Wednesday, or not the last Wednesday, but the second Wednesday in November.
Mm-hmm.
So that we can present that money to him, gives them time to go and do their shopping, and they distribute. I think it's the week before Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, it was very successful. We saw, like I said, it was the best one we've ever done.
Yep.
And we do that, what's it like the tree, right? It's set up on the tree.
We do a tree. You don't have to do it that way, but we do a tree in our sanctuary, and then we have suggested giving. And we have everything from $25 up to, I think it's $1,000.
Okay.
That people can give, and then it's whatever. I mean, even that night he was here, we took an offering for him, and it was a good offering, but then even people came that night and gave.
Yeah.
And so it just, I love being a part of it, man. You can't go wrong. To me, that's the manifestation of pure religion and undefiled, is to visit the fatherless and the widows.
Yeah.
And I believe that fatherless, I believe not just men, but the people that don't have that parent in their life.
Yeah.
And that to me is pure religion, because it's not that they'll come to your church. It's not you're blessing them so they'll start coming to your church, because they won't.
Yeah. And that's not the goal.
That's not the goal. Your evangelism should never be, as long as we're on this,
Yeah.
your evangelism should never be about just getting people come to your church.
Yeah.
It should be more about we're building the kingdom.
Yeah.
And do you want them to come to your church? Of course we do. But that's not my goal. My goal when we go out and evangelize is to preach the gospel to them. That's it.
Sorry. I kept hearing this noise. And I was like, what is it? You have your dogs with us today, and it's Piper, and she's
She's a Shih Tzu.
Yes, and so she's got the nose thing, and she's snoring.
Yeah. So if you can hear that, it's not our cameraman that's falling asleep. No. When we had the lockdown with COVID, and we did only online videos, I would do the videos online, and I'd have people text me while I was preaching. Did Elizabeth fall asleep? Is that what's going on? That is my dog.
Yeah.
Piper is a little round Shih Tzu.
So talking about evangelism, I was thinking about a story of yours when you did some street evangelism. The reason why is Christian and I, we were driving from the church back home, and we were down off of Bryan Station Road area in New Circle, if you know the area. And I'm not making this up. This is real.
No,
you
I
never
can't
know
wait
what
to
you'll
hear it.
see down there. Christian and I saw a guy with a samurai sword.
Yeah, that's a new one.
I slowed up. I said, "What is that?" And sure enough, on his back, he had a katana.
Oh my goodness!
And I mean, he had a samurai sword. And it reminded me of your story about the guy who had a huge knife on him.
What we would do when I first got in ministry, when I quit my job, God didn't say quit your job and go in the ministry. All He told me was quit my job.
Yeah.
And so my final day at Pepsi was a Tuesday, April 16th. It was a Tuesday, 1980 or 1991. And so we would go to the church. I was already going to the church for prayer, but then I would have to leave and go to work. Well, then that next Wednesday, I went for morning prayer. Then I stayed and prayed. And then it was Thursday. In prayer, the Lord told me, I want you to start out on the streets witnessing. Now, we already had a couple guys that were going out.
Yeah.
And so, I'm one of the guys was single. One of the guys was married, but I was the only one that had kids.
Yeah.
And my kids were little. I mean, this was, my goodness, 1991. So our youngest daughter was 4 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And 3.5, actually. And so I started out on the street. So we would come to the church and pray with our prayer group. The whole, we had a group that came in the morning for intercessory prayer. Then the three of us would stay and pray and get in the Word all morning. And then we would go downtown and minister. And so we would just go wherever God led us. Most of the time we were just down in Main Street in Lexington, and we would just walk around and share the gospel with people. And so one time we were down there, and I'm sharing the gospel with this guy. We're walking down Main Street. I can tell you exactly where we were. I mean, we had gotten to the corner where not Victorian Square, but the next little shopping area is, walking east.
Okay.
And got to the corner, and the guy looks at me, and he goes, "I need to ask you something." Now, we're talking. I mean, this is a rough guy, and I said, "What's that?" And he goes, "What would you do if I pulled out a knife and cut you wide open?" And I said, "You can't." And he goes, "What do you mean I can't?" I said, "The Bible says there's no weapon formed against me that can prosper." And he went, "Okay." And so we walked another block, shared the gospel with him. And then he stops and pulls out one of the biggest knives I've ever seen somebody carry. And I go, "What's that?" And he goes, "That's the knife I was going to split you wide open with," and walked off.
Oh, my goodness.
The
You've
testimonies.
got some protection.
There was a girl, as long as we're on this subject, there was a girl that was in an abusive relationship. She'd gotten saved. She'd gotten delivered. I mean, actually had demons cast out of her down on Main Street on a Friday night. Pastor Lee did it. And so we were going to move her out of her house, her apartment that she was living with this demon-possessed guy.
Yeah.
And so we're carrying stuff out of her apartment, and the guy comes home. And he is nuts. I mean, I don't know the way to say it. He's demon-possessed. He is. And so I've taken a load out to the car. I come back in to get the next load, and he's coming down the stairs. Pastor Lee's going up the stairs. Pastor Lee's praying in tongues. I'm praying in tongues. And I said, Lord, I need an angel. You've promised us protection. I need an angel now. And so this was one of those old houses they had converted into apartments. Mm-hmm. So he was coming down, this demon-possessed guy was coming down the stairs, and he gets about 3 steps from the bottom, and the door at the bottom of the stairs opens, which is another apartment. And this large, hairy man with nothing but overalls on, no shirt, no shoes, comes out and he goes, "There a problem here?" And so this demon-possessed guy runs out the door. And I said, Lord, he was a big, ugly angel, but I'll take him. And we moved her out, and everything was fine.
Everything was fine.
Yeah.
That's, oh, man. That is wild.
Oh, yeah. God's good, man. I love my life.
What's your advice to people, that are, I'm getting more and more like interested in evangelism and stuff like that, and talking with people that do a lot more of that, and what's your advice to people that are doing that? Because like I said, no weapon formed against us can prosper, but it can be dangerous, or
you have to use wisdom. I don't go looking for a fight. I don't go put myself in position where, unless God says to.
Yeah.
We did an outreach downtown in the projects area, and we would take and feed the people. We would take bread down. And so I went down in the church van. I'll never forget one time we went down there to minister to the people, and one of the guys that lived there came up and he goes, I got to tell you how impressed I am, because you're not afraid of anything. And I don't do silly things.
Yeah.
But if God said go, then he's protecting me. But you have to know that God has told you to go. And I think one of the intimidating things, just when you were saying that, I think one of the things that intimidates people is we call it evangelism.
Yeah.
And so to me, when I hear the word evangelist or evangelism, I got to get people born again and all that kind of stuff. Jesus said, after the Holy Spirit comes upon me, or upon you, you'll be witnesses.
Yeah.
That's what he tells us to do.
Yeah.
He tells us to be a witness. Now, I understand Paul tells Timothy, do the work of an evangelist, but let's break it down to what the work of evangelist is. It's just being a witness. So then if you take that into a courtroom setting,
okay,
my job as a witness is to just tell what happened. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's all evangelism is.
Yeah.
But we get this idea of, we know the evangelist, Billy Graham.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to do what Billy Graham did. No, Billy Graham did what Billy Graham did. And my job is just to talk about how good God is. What's he done for me? It's not to promote our church. It's not to promote a specific doctrine. It's just to witness. It's just to tell people, man, I mean, I don't know how many, I don't do this all the time, but I'll just be talking to somebody and say, man, you know what? I was 19 years old. I was an alcoholic. I was ready to commit suicide. And like I said, I don't do that every time, but being led by the Spirit of God, I've had people tell me, that's exactly where I am.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to get out. And I know how you feel, because I was there.
It reminds me, we went out, we did a staff lunch, and one of the servers ended up, you were able to minister to him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that you were handing out tracts and it was just, like you said, it's much more simple than we make it to be sometimes.
It really is. If we'll take the time, I think what happens is I'm not against these things, so please don't misunderstand me, but we get so set on the Romans road. I don't know what the other ones are called, so I apologize.
I didn't even know what that one
Okay,
is.
Romans
I just went with...
road is you can take people through the book of Romans and show the plan of salvation.
Okay.
And so they call it the Romans road. But we get so set on here's the formula to get somebody saved. People just want to know somebody cares about them.
Yeah.
And just like we were talking about the staff lunch, I didn't start out with the idea, I need to witness to this guy.
Yeah.
But I listened. I could hear what he was saying, and he made a comment, and this is what he said. He said, I'm running.
Yeah.
And I said, what are you running from? I got a call to God in my life. But just hearing him say, I'm running.
Yeah.
And so I talked to him a little bit at the whole table. And then I was just sitting there. I'm telling you, Spirit-led evangelism or Spirit-led witnessing. And I'm just sitting there, and the Holy Spirit says, just get up and walk around and look out the windows. We were at a rooftop restaurant. And so I go over, and as I'm walking back to the table, this guy comes walking out, and he goes, man, I really need you to pray for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not chasing them down. They're supposed to come and ask us, what is this hope that you have?
Yeah.
That's evangelism made easy.
And I think, when you put it into that, like I said, that, I don't know, simplicity of it, it's not, all right, I'm going to go do an hour of evangelism. It's just, like I said, being a witness, living your life that way.
I think those scheduled, she woke up, those scheduled times of evangelism, I think are good.
Yeah, they are.
I think it's vital, but it's the everyday stuff. It's people knowing that you care about them.
Yeah.
Because that's what Jesus did. Jesus got in trouble because he ate with the sinners. He hung out with them, and not that he got down in their sin. He never did that. But he spent time with them to show them, I care about you.
Yeah.
And I think it's what's missing in the church world is people want to know that somebody cares. Well, you may say, well, Pastor, how do you know that's what's going on? Scientific studies have proven the reason people like social media is to get likes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a dopamine shot. That's
what I was going to say. It's the same, it's the dopamine, just to know somebody liked what I put, somebody likes me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to break it down even further, somebody cares about me because they took the time to look, read, whatever it was, my post.
Mm-hmm.
One of the saddest things to me, and there's nobody I'm thinking of, so it's not you, but one of the saddest things to me is you see somebody post something and nobody comments, nobody likes, nothing. And it's like, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I think I would stop posting if I would.
Well, there's a lot of people who need to stop posting.
Listen to some of my messages. If it wasn't for this kind of outreach, I would have nothing to do with social media. But that's what the church did in the past. Television came out and it was the one-eyed demon. Mm. The internet came out and Paul warned us about this, stay off of it. And now we're trying to gain back footing that we should have had from the start.
Yeah.
And it is the only reason that I use social media is to get the gospel out.
Amen. I'm not sure. We might have a little bit of time.
We got a couple minutes left.
Do you have a message for us this week?
It's really, again, I'm on how powerful our words are.
Yeah.
And it's something I need to hear periodically, and I have an idea if I need to hear it periodically. There's probably some other people that do too. Just, whether you believe it or not doesn't change the truth of death and life is in the power of my tongue. And it would be great, and I shared this last week on my morning walk, but it'd be great if these kind of truths only worked on the things that we wanted them to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I believe it in my heart and confess it with my mouth, and we can get this mentality of, oh, yeah, as long as it's scriptural, that works. No.
Yeah.
Because that verse, the verse that really came out to me the other day was, believe it or not, Mark 11:23, one that we're very familiar with. Whoever says to this mountain, be removed, be cast into the sea, doesn't doubt in his heart, but believes what he says is going to come to pass, he'll have whatsoever he says. And so that'd be great if it only worked for the positive for us.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Because the truth is, it's whatever we say to that mountain. We could be saying, this is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
That mountain will never move. This mountain has been in my family for generations. And we're going to get exactly what we say.
Yeah.
So we can never forget how vital it is to be careful what we say.
Yeah.
And say it like, if this were to come to pass immediately, would I still say it?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, it really makes you stop and think. Maybe I'll hold on to that one.
Yeah. That's why I stay off WebMD.
There you go. It's a guy. I agree with you. Oh, my goodness. WebMD. Anyway, if I was a doctor, I would ban WebMD from your.
Yeah, you're like, I know I've got it. I've got this and this and this. And they're like, you can't be pregnant, Jason. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, man, I hope not.
No.
If you are, we're going to make a lot of money.
Well, this got away from me.
Really, that went downhill fast.
No, we had one of the kids in the youth group came up, and they asked me. It was my nephew.
Yeah.
And he said, Uncle Jason, he goes, so if life and death is in the power of the tongue, or is like what we say? I said, yeah. And he goes, so what does that mean? I said, it means that, what you say has power, and that, if you're speaking bad things, that's what you're going to get. If you're speaking good things, that's what you're going to get. And so, we talked about how important it is, especially in school and stuff. Don't say, I can't do this. I'm dumb. I can't, I'll never figure out, I'm bad at math.
Yeah.
Don't say that. Say, I'm going to figure this out.
Yep.
I can do this.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's a much better answer.
Yeah. Yep. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, thank you all. And we're excited to be doing this. We'll see you next week. Again, you can follow us on all the major platforms. We're on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube. Visit us in person here in Lexington, Kentucky at 4514 Briar Hill Road, 40516. And stay tuned. We're going to have that email, so you can email Coffee with Pastor. That's going to be coming out.
And when we do that, when you can email us questions or comments or
any questions you have, comments, topics, we will go through them.
Yes, won't promise that we'll get to all of them, but yes, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.